Today's the 12th of October 2013 and I got my first shot of testosterone at 2 o'clock this afternoon. I met Dr. Mishkov for my 3-month appointment. We chatted about how I'd been getting along since I last saw her in July. We went over the results of the blood test that I'd done in August. I tend to spend a lot of time worrying about things that I can't control. I eat like a total pig, and I was so dehydrated that it took them 3 attempts to get any blood from my veins, enough to test. So I've got crap veins and should probably never become a junkie. So for the last couple of weeks I've been worrying about whether the test would show that I should be clinically dead, I'm not fit for hormones, or they'd forget that I had an appointment, or an asteroid would wipe out the clinic. Nothing of that happened. That went absolutely fine. I turned up, the doctor basically went through all the results of my blood test and everything was absolutely within normal. She said she was happy for me to start in TE, so obviously my next question was how soon, because I wanted to start that day if I could. I worked myself up and I was going to be absolutely gutted if I couldn't start. So I decided that I wanted to start on libido because I like the idea of fewer injections with smoother peaks and troughs than with the shorter acting testosterone, but I wasn't really sure about the slow release, if you're starting on it as from 0 to whatever, or the possibility that I might have a bad reaction to it, because I know if you put it into your system then it's there, and if you've got a bad reaction for it you'll be reacting for 3 months. So Dr. Mishkov talked me through the various options, like different injections and gels, and asked what I'd prefer. So we kind of worked out a happy medium that I'll start with 1 shot of testosterone, and when it comes time to take the next shot I'll just take Nibidone instead. So I'm going to call her up in a couple of weeks time, let her know how I've been getting on, and hopefully book an appointment for the next one. I've got a cough, I'm sorry. The doctor said if I could get a prescription filled that day, then if I could make it back to the clinic within the 15 minutes that she had free between appointments, she'd do it for me that day. So challenge accepted. And I went off hunting around town because testosterone is not easy to track down. I don't know whether there's a shortage or if it's been discontinued, but it took several calls around several different chemists to find one that had any in stock. And when I finally did manage to find one, a new employee at the shop almost sabotaged me because she set aside what was what I imagined to be the last file in the entire city. She didn't tell any of her colleagues that I was looking for it or that I'd called, and she didn't tell them where she'd squirreled it away, and then she went for her lunch. So of course when I turned up they had no idea that I'd set some aside. They had no idea that I called, they had no idea that they had any, even though they did. So they sent me around on a wild goose chase around all the other local chemists, trying to find the one that I had apparently called that wasn't them. So I made it back to them, found it, they realised the mistake, and I walked off back to the clinic with my testosterone. So I made it back in time, and I've got the bruise on my leg to prove it, and I start roller hockey next week, so that's going to be really painful if the bruise is still there. I hope it's not. Anyway, I guess I'll update when I notice the first changes. Check it out.